Greg, just the first question I have for you. Is there any camp holdouts you know of right now or roster updates?
I hope there's no camp holdouts, but no, I think we're in good shape. You know, there's a 120 limit, and we have more than that on the roster, so we're going to have to, unfortunately, have some guys that are not going to be able to report to camp, but there's certainly no holdouts. And injuries, I think we're kind of on schedule. Everybody's healing up, so looking forward to getting started.
Speaking of that, how is Tyreen Powell's recovery going right now? What are your expectations for when he'll be ready?
I think he's doing really well. I mean, he's on schedule. He's done a great job in what we've asked him to do, what our medical people have asked him to do, and now it's just you know, avoiding any of those setbacks, which sometimes happen. But you know, if that doesn't occur, I think we're in good shape.
You mentioned roster limits for training camp. There's discussion this week about the NCAA making rosters 105 players. I wonder if you have any thoughts on that and just how that would affect you guys.
Yeah, I think there's so many moving pieces with the roster limit and, you know, what that means exactly, because now it's not a scholarship limit, it's a roster limit. So there's, you know, I'd certainly like to see it bigger because we're a developmental program, and the more players you have, the more efficiently you can practice in multiple, you know, it's called two-spotting drills. The more efficiently you can do that. But I understand everything that goes into the decisions, and whatever it is, we'll figure out the best way to prepare as a Rutgers football program.
Coach, in the transfer portal, especially if you're looking at a quarterback, and you obviously you value traits. You go out searching for a guy that has what you want, to lead your offense. Has been there anything about Ethan that's kind of been a bonus for you to get to know him a little bit more?
Before I would answer that, I would probably
really impressed with.
Well, I felt like I kind of knew Ethan because Kirk, Shiraka, and Ethan's relationship from Minnesota. So through Kirk, I felt like I knew him. But getting to know him myself and our relationship growing has been important. He's done a really good job. He came in, just kept his head down and worked, didn't say a lot until he earned the respect of his new teammates. And then by the way he did that is the way everybody does, by performing. In the spring, he clearly won the job. And that's one of the reasons that I named a starter when I did, is I really wanted him to have the opportunity to have it be his team in the summer. If it was close, I would have let it play out. But and the other reason was I wanted Gavin to have the opportunity. I had no idea what he was going to do, but I wanted him to have the opportunity, if he wanted to go somewhere, to be able to do that. He believed in us at the very, very beginning when we didn't have much results to show him. And great family, great kid, and it just didn't work out at Rutgers. But so those two reasons is why I did it when I did.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about just the reformatted conference in terms of 18 teams now competing under one set of standings. Does that change any part of operating your program in terms of being aggressive with NIL and the transfer portal?
Well, it doesn't change anything with NIL and transfer portal, because I think the thing we do best is we know who we are. We don't try to be someone we're not. So we'll do NIL the way we believe we should do it, and transfer portal, bringing guys in, we have a philosophy when and why. We've been very fortunate that our players have stayed, and I know they've openly been recruited off our team, but they decided to stay, and that's I think a testament to the culture and to the program, what guys, what we're building there. But I do think the league is outstanding. I've said it all along. The Big Ten Conference is the best conference in football. It's the sweet spot between academic excellence and athletic football excellence, and to add those 4 teams now and make it a coast-to-coast league, to be watching Big Ten football at noon and then be watching it past midnight, it doesn't get a lot better than that.
As far as adaptation goes, you have 4 teams on the West Coast who play in the Pac-12 conference. How do you think they should, adjust to the style of play, the line of scrimmage style of Big Ten play, if they have to?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that may be overrated, right? I mean, football's football, and you're talking about 4 of the best programs in the West Coast. So I don't think there's going to be one of the teams was the runner-up for the national championship. So, I think it's going to be a pretty seamless transition. I think they're coming into a good league, and they are 4 really good teams. So looking forward to bringing that group in and having what is a coast-to-coast league. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
What's your view on the House settlement and the new kind of revenue sharing plan introduced for Rutgers, for your program? Do you think ultimately it'll be beneficial in terms of things like being able to kind of distribute money to student athletes? your take on?
Yeah, the question has to do with the revenue sharing. Look, I've long believed that players in college football should be paid. And I think I've been on record many times saying that. So that goes back to my time as a young assistant coach. I just never thought it was right. And, people would argue, well, it's a scholarship. Well, if you ever did an hourly wage on that scholarship, you'd be called a lot of names. I mean, these kids put in a ton of time, and for the amount of money that's generated, especially nowadays with TV contracts and those things, and for them not to receive any of that, I always thought that was wrong. I wish we could have gotten to this place where there was revenue sharing, where it was a collaborative effort, where it's not getting, told to you this is the way we're doing it. But, it's a perfect world, and we're not in a perfect world. So we're going to try to make the most of it. I think everybody has to have a plan going into 2025 if it actually happens. What is your plan? I think everybody's going to have a different plan. I'm thankful for my time in the National Football League, where I learned to deal with salary cap and those type of things. So hopefully that'll be a benefit.